since a lot of you either don't want to sit through Cam reading it the whole time because you're busy or have other things, that I would do a nice thing and I'd record every session that Cam does reading The Fault in Our Stars in his book club, and I'd post it on YouTube. So here we go. Here's chapter 1. I know it's like an hour, but it's Cam, so give him.
Ready? Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Late in the winter of my 17th year, my mother decided I was depressed, presumably because I rarely left the house, spent quite a lot of time in bed, read the same book over and over, ate infrequently, and devoted quite a bit of my abundant free time to thinking about death. What the heck? Steve. Dude, I definitely haven't read in the longest time. Those were some crazy... That was hardcore. So those are some interesting words right there. Alright, let's continue. Whenever you read a cancer booklet or website or whatever, they always list depression among the side effects of cancer. But, in fact, depression is not a side of cancer. Depression is not a side effect of cancer. Depression is a side effect of dying. Cancer is also a side effect of dying.
Hey, why don't you put a Band-Aid on my foot?
But my mom believed that I required treatment, so she took me to see my regular doctor.
Why is there a fold?
Crap,
Oh, that's my fold.
Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Well, she took me to see my regular doctor, Jim. It's a good name. Dr. Jim.
Dr. Jim.
Who agreed that I was how do you say that? Veritably. Who agreed that I was veritably swimming in a paralyzing and total clinical depression, and that therefore my meds should be adjusted and also I should attend a weekly support group. By the way, guys, I am trying to improve my vocabulary, and I haven't read a book in like a couple years, so that's why I stutter. But if you guys do this book club, I'm sure you guys will see me like my progress. Whatever. So, hanging tight with me, I know. Let's keep going. And I should also attend a weekly support group. This support group featured a rotating cast of characters in various states and tumor-driven unwellness. Why did the cast rotate? A side effect of dying. The support group, of course, was depressing as hell. We met every Wednesday in the basement of a stone-walled Episcopal, is that right?
Yeah.
Episcopal church shaped like a cross. We all sat in a circle right in the middle of the cross, where two boards would have met, where the heart of Jesus would have been. I noticed this because Patrick, the support group leader, and only one person over 18 in the room, talked about the heart of Jesus every freaking meeting. All about how we, as young cancer survivors, were sitting right in Christ's, it's weird for me to say that, Christ's very sacred heart and whatever. So here's how it went in God's heart. The 6 or 7 or 10 of us walked/wheeled in, grazed at the decrepit, so what does that mean?
Like, ugly, bad, stuff like that.
Okay. Decrepit. So, decrepit, if you guys don't know what that means. It means, I wonder what, can you check to make sure? I don't want to tell them the wrong thing.
It's like decrepit selection.
Why are you reading? Okay, I'm reading because this is a book club. And I'm reading The Fault in Our Stars if you guys want to follow along. Because I need to up my vocabulary. And this is Yosh next to me. He lives with us and he watches us. But I am on page 4. And for those of you that just came on, I'm on page 4. Down at the bottom. What was that? prep a selection of cookies and lemonade. Sat down in the circle of trust and listened to Patrick recount for the 1,000th time his depressingly miserable life story. How he had cancer in his balls. How he had cancer in his balls, and they thought he was going to die, but he didn't die, and now here he is, a full-grown adult in a church basement in the 137th nicest city in America, divorced, addicted to video games, mostly friendless, eking out a meager living by exploiting his cancer-tastic past, slowly working his way toward a master's degree that will not improve his career prospects. Waiting, as we all do, for the sword of Damocles? Damocles? I don't understand that. I'll just say Damocles. To give him the relief that he escaped those many years ago, when cancer took both of his guts, but spared what only the most generous soul would call his life. And you too might be so lucky. Then we introduce ourselves, name, age, diagnosis, and how we are doing today. I'm Hazel. Well, I'm Cameron, but she's Hazel.
I'm Yosh.
Oh, this is Yosh, by the way. I'm Hazel. I'd say when they get me to... I'd say when they get to me. 16. Thyroid originally, but with an impressive and long-settled satellite colony in my lungs. And I'm doing okay. Once we got around the circle, Patrick always asked if anyone wanted to share, and then began the circle jerk of support. Everyone talking about fighting and battling and winning and shrinking and scanning. To be fair to Patrick, he let us talk about dying too. But most of them weren't dying. Most would live in adulthood, as Patrick had, which meant that there was quite a lot of competitiveness about it, with everybody wanting to beat not only cancer itself, but also the other people in the room. Like, I realize that this is irrational, but when they tell you that you have, say, a 20% chance of living 5 years, the math kicks in and you figure out that's 1 in 5. So you look around and think, as any healthy person would, I gotta outlast 4 of these bastards. Next page, page 6, if you guys are keeping up. Yeah, so we're on page 6, and I know you guys following along. I'm doing this every Thursday, so if you guys want to follow along, you can. I'll probably do like 1 or 2 chapters, or 3 if I get really good at, or really fast. But right now I'm really slow because I haven't read in forever. And I need to better my vocabulary. But, I love you, Hilda, and it's every Tuesday. What did I say? Did I say every
Thursday, yeah, it's every Tuesday.
It's every Tuesday, yeah. Sorry, I'm like super busy. I'm thinking about different things, but your voice is so relaxing. Thank you, I guess. But yeah, so this is like a book club thing. I know a lot of people are like, it's for, I don't know, they're just saying like, but this is something I really wanted to do with you guys because I need to work on my vocab, and why not read with you guys? I don't know.
This is for you. This is for you.
And this is Yosh, if you guys don't know. But I low-key asked him to be on here because I didn't want it to be awkward. Me, like, reading and messing up.
It's not awkward.
Okay. Page 6, top. The only redeeming facet of support group was this kid named Isaac. A long-faced, skinny guy with straight blonde hair swept over one eye. And his eyes were the problem. He had some fantastically improbable eye cancer. One eye had been cut out when he was a kid, and now he wore the kind of thick glasses that made his eyes, both the real one and the glass one, preternaturally huge. Like his whole head was basically just this fake eye, and his real eye staring at you. From what I could gather on the rare occasion when Isaac shared with the group, a recurrent A recurrence had placed his remaining eye in mortal peril. Isaac and I communicated almost exclusively through sighs. Each time someone discussed anti-cancer diets or snorting ground up shark fin or whatever, he glanced over at me and sigh ever so slightly. He'd glance over at me and sigh ever so slightly. I'd shake my hand microscopically and exhale in response. So support group blew, and after a few weeks, I grew to be rather kicking and screaming about the whole affair. In fact, on the Wednesday, I made the acquaintance of Augustus Waters.
Oh.
So this is where they meet?
Yeah, this Augustus has been waiting for this part.
Yeah. I tried to level my best to get out of the support group while sitting on the couch with my mom in the third leg of a 12-hour marathon of the previous season's America's Next Top Model, which, admittedly, I had already seen, but still. Me. I refused to attend support group. Mom. Is that weird how I say it like me? Mom.
I like it.
Mom. One of the symptoms of depression is what does it say? Oh, disinterest. It's like dashed. One of the symptoms of depression is disinterest in activities. Me. Please just let me watch America's Next Top Model. It's an activity. Television is a passivity? Oh, come on, please. Hazel, you're a teenager. You're not a little kid anymore. You need to make friends, get out the house, and live your life. If you want me to be a teenager, don't send me to support group. Buy me a fake ID so I can go to clubs, drink vodka, and take pot. You don't take pot, for starters. See, that's the kind of thing I'd know if you got me a fake ID. You're going to support group. Hazel, you deserve a life. That shut me up. Although I failed to see how attendance at support group met the definition of life, still, I agreed to go. After negotiating the right to record the 1.5 episodes of America's Next Top Model I'd be missing. I went to support group for the same reason that I'd once allowed nurses with a mere 8 months of graduate. I went to support group for the same reason that I'd once allowed nurses with a mere 8 months of graduate education to poison me with exotically named chemicals. I wanted to make my parents happy. There is only one thing in this world shittier than biting it from cancer when you're 16, and that's having a kid who bites it from cancer. What? There is only one thing in this world shittier than biting it from cancer when you're 16, and that's having a kid who bites it from cancer. All like for her parents.
For her parents or for her?
By the way, we are on page 8. If you guys are following along. And I love you, Britsta and Teresa. Alright. Mom pulled into the circular driveway behind the church at 4:56. I pretended to fiddle with my oxygen tank for a second just to kill time. Do you want me to carry it in for you? No, it's fine, I said. The cylindrical... Is it that? Yeah. Cylindrical green tank only weighed a few pounds. And I had this little steel cart to wheel it around behind me. It delivered 2 liters of oxygen to me each minute through a cannula? Is that? Yeah. A cannula, a transparent tube that split just beneath my neck, wrapped behind my ears, and then reunited in my nostrils. The contraption was necessary because my lungs sucked at being lungs. I love you, she said as I go out. You too, Mom. See you at 6. Make friends, she said through the roll-down window as I walked away. I didn't want to take the elevator because taking the elevator is a last days kind of activity at the support group. So I took the stairs. I grabbed a cookie and poured some lemonade into a Dixie cup, and then turned around. A boy was staring at me. I was quite sure I'd never seen him before. Long and leany, muscular, he dwarfed the mottled plastic elementary school chair he was sitting in. Mahogany hair, straight and short. He looked my age, maybe a year older. and he sat with his tailbone against the edge of the chair, his posture aggressively poor. Slunched over. His posture aggressively poor. We're like, his posture. This thing's annoying. Okay, his posture aggressively poor. One hand half in a pocket of dark jeans. I looked away, suddenly conscious of my myriad insufficient. What? Myriad? I looked away, suddenly conscious of my myriad insufficiencies. I was wearing old jeans, which had once been tight, but now sagged in weird places, and a yellow t-shirt advertising a band I didn't even like anymore. Also, my hair. I had this page boy haircut, and I hadn't even bothered to, brush it. Furthermore, I had ridiculously fat chipmunk cheeks, a side effect of treatment. I looked like a normally proportioned person with a balloon for a head. This was not even to mention the cankle situation, and yet I could have glanced at him, and his eyes were still on me. It occurred to me why they called it eye contact. I walked into the circle and sat down next to Isaac, 2 seats away from the boy. I glanced again. He was still watching me. Look, let me just say it. He was hot. A non-hot boy stares at you relentlessly at him. I feel like saying that. What? Because I don't find guys attractive. Well, actually, guys can be, good looking, but anyway. Okay, look. Let me just say it. He was hot. A non-hot boy stares at you relentlessly, and it is, at best, awkward, and at worst, a form of assault. But a hot boy, well. I pulled out my phone and clicked it so it would display the time, 4:59. The circle filled with the unlucky 12 to 18s. And then Patrick started us with the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity. God grant me the serenity. Oh yeah, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Someone do a little thing.
Oh.
I love you, Bella. We're on page 10, by the way, guys. If you weren't following along. And if you are following along, cool. I might read slow right now, I know, but I will get better. Okay. My back hurts. I'll never forget that. Anyways. I cannot change the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The guy was still staring at me. I felt rather blushing. Finally, I decided that the proper strategy was to stare back. Boys do not have a monopoly on the staring business, after all. So I looked him over as Patrick acknowledged for the 1,000th time his balllessness, etc. And soon it was a staring contest. After a while, the boy smiled, and then finally his blue eyes glanced away. When he looked back at me, I flicked my eyebrows up to say, I win. He shrugged. Patrick continued, and then finally it was time for the introductions. Isaac, perhaps you'd like me to go first today. I know you're facing a challenging time. Yeah, Isaac said. I'm Isaac. I'm 17, and it's looking like I have to get surgery in a couple weeks, after which I'll be blind. Not to complain or anything, because I know a lot of us have it worse, but yeah, being blind does sort of suck. My girlfriend helps though, and friends like Augustus. He nodded toward the boy who now had a name. So yeah, Isaac continued. He was looking at his hands, which he'd folded into each other. This screen keeps going off. Which he folded into each other like the top of a TV. There's nothing you can do about it. We're here for you, Isaac, Patrick said. Let Isaac hear it, Let Isaac hear it, guys. And then we all, in a monotone, said, We're here for you, Isaac. That's typical, you know how they see in the movies where it's Hi, I'm Cameron Dallas and I'm an alcoholic. And then everyone's like, Hi, Cameron.
We're here for you, Cameron.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Michael was next. He was 12. He had leukemia. Page 11, top. He'd always had leukemia. He was okay. Or so he said. He'd taken the elevator. Linda was 16 and pretty enough to be the object of the hot boy's eye. She was a regular, in a long remission from appendicial cancer, which I had not previously known existed. She said, as she had every other time I'd attended support group, that she felt strong, which felt like bragging to me as the oxygen drizzling numbs tickled my nostrils. There were 5 others before they got to him. He smiled a little when his turn came. His voice was low, smoky, and dead sexy. My name is Augustus Waters, he said. I'm 17. I had a little touch of osteosarcoma. A year, I don't know how to say that, sorry guys. Osteosarcoma.
I don't think
Osteosarcoma. A year and a half ago. But I'm just here today at Isaac's request. And how are you feeling? Asked Patrick. Oh, I'm grand, Augustus Waters smiled with a corner of his mouth. I'm on a roller coaster that only goes up, my friend. When it was my turn, I said, my name is Hazel. I'm 16, thyroid with mets in my lungs. I'm okay. The hour proceeded at pace. Fights were recounted, battles won amid wars. That's a weird sentence. Fights were recounted, battles won amid wars sure to be lost, yeah. Hope was clung to. Families were both celebrated and denounced. It was agreed that friends just didn't get it. Tears were shed. Comfort proffered. Comfort proffered. Neither Augustus Waters nor I spoke again until Patrick said, Augustus, perhaps you'd like to share your fears with the group. My fears? Yes. I fear oblivion, he said without a moment's pause. I fear it like the proverbial blind man who's afraid of the dark. Too soon, Isaac said, cracking a smile. Was that insensitive? Augustus asked. I can be pretty blind to other people's feelings. Isaac was laughing, but Patrick raised a chastening finger and said, Augustus, please, let's return to you and your struggles. You said you fear oblivion? I did, Augustus answered. Patrick seemed lost. Would anyone like to speak to that? I hadn't been in a proper school in 3 years. My parents were my 2 best friends. We're in the middle of page 12, by the way, guys. And if you're just now on, we're reading The Fault in Our Stars. And this is like a book club for every Tuesday. Because I need to improve my vocabulary and I wanted to spend some more time with you guys. So I came up with the book club. So I hope you guys like it. I don't know how I'm doing so far, but it'll be cool to like see my progress. I'll ask you guys like towards the end of the book to ask how my progress was like on reading and stuff like that. But I want to read like 1 to 2 chapters every Tuesday, maybe 3. How many chapters? I read pretty slow, by the way. Well, I can read fast in my mind, but like when I read out loud, it does not. Let's skip 24. So it's 24 chapters.
So it'd be like 4 months if you did 1.
I have to do 3 chapters per.
Finish in 2 months.
Okay. What was that? Oh yeah, in the middle. Isaac was laughing, but Patrick raised a chastening finger and said, Augustus, please, let's return to you and your struggles. You said you fear oblivion? I did, Augustus answered. Patrick seemed lost. Would anyone like to speak to that? I hadn't been in a proper school in 3 years. My parents were my 2 best friends. My 3rd best friend was an author who did not know I existed. I was a fairly shy person. Not the hand-raising type. Can you hand me that water? Not the hand raising type. Not this big old jug of them. Okay. Not the hand raising type. And yet, just this once, I decided to speak. I half raised my hand, and Patrick, his delight evident, immediately said, "Hazel!" I was, I'm sure he assumed, opening up, becoming part of the group. I looked over at Augustus Waters, who looked back at me. You could almost see through his eyes, they were so blue. There will come a time, I said, when all of us are dead. All of us. There will come a time when there are no human beings remaining to remember that anyone ever existed or that our species ever did anything. There will be no one left to remember Aristotle or Cleopatra, let alone you. Everything that we did and built and wrote and thought and discovered will be forgotten, and all of this, I gestured encompassingly, will have been for naught. Maybe that time is coming soon, and maybe it is millions of years away. But even if we survive the collapse of our sun, we will not survive forever. There was time before organisms experienced consciousness, and there will be a time after. And if the inevitability if the inevitability of human oblivion worries you, I encourage you to ignore it. God knows that's what everyone else does. I learned this from my aforementioned third best friend, Peter Van Houten. Houten. I'm not sure. But, shut the frick up. Cool. Wait, let me see what that comment was. You're doing good. I want to see what these comments say. I love you, Emily. I love you, Kelsey. Alright, we're on page,
Ask me how it's going.
oh yeah, do you guys like it? Or like, what should I do differently?
Is it clear? Can you hear us well? It's amazing. I love it. It's good. Perfect.
Less distractions. Alright. God knows that. I learned this from my aforementioned third best friend, Peter Van Houten, whatever. The reclusive author of An Imperial Affliction. The book that was as close a thing as I had to a Bible. Peter Van Houten was the only person I'd ever come across who seemed to A, understand what it's like to be dying, and B, not have died. After I finished, there was quite a long period of silence as I watched a smile spread all the way across Augustus's face. Not the little crooked smile of the boy trying to be sexy while he stared at me, but his real smile. Too big for his face. "God damn," Augustus said quietly. "Oh, God damn," Augustus said quietly. "Aren't you something else?" Neither of us said anything for the rest of the support group. At the end, we all had to hold hands, and Patrick led us in a prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, we are gathered here in your heart, literally in your heart, as cancer survivors. You and you alone know us as we know ourselves. Guide us to life and the light through our times of trial. We pray for Isaac's eyes. We pray for Isaac's eyes, for Michael's and Jamie's blood, for Augustus's bones, for Hazel's lungs, for Jamie's throat. We pray for James's throat. We pray that you might heal us and that we might feel your love. and your peace, which passes all understanding. And we remember in our hearts those whom we knew and loved who have gone home to you, Maria and Kate and Joseph and Haley and Abigail and Angelina and Taylor and Gabriel, and it was a long list. The world contains of a lot of dead people, and while Patrick droned on, reading the list from a sheet of paper because it was too long to memorize, I kept my eyes closed, trying to think prayerfully, but mostly imagining the day when my name would find its way. You scare him?
We're on you now.
I understand. You never know my phone.
Alan did. Oh, you went to get it? Oh, he slept.
Hey, book club. What's up?
Oh, that's Nash.
That was my butt that I just put Nash's Oh, you put your butt in his face?
I have my butt like right here in the corner. It was so funny. You should see his face. Alright, read on. Start.
Nice booty, they said. Okay. Hi, Kristen. And I love you, Olivia Barrier. I love you, Destiny. Okay, yeah. It was a long list. The world contains a lot of dead people. While Patrick droned on, reading the list from a sheet of paper because it was too long to memorize, I kept my eyes closed, trying to think prayerfully, but mostly imagining the day when my name would find its way onto that list. All the way at the end, when everyone had stopped listening. When Patrick was finished, we said this stupid mantra. Together. Living our best life today, and it was over. Augustus Waters pushed himself out of his chair and walked over to me. His gait was crooked like his smile. He towered over me, but he kept his distance so I wouldn't have to crane my neck to look him in the eye. "What's your name?" he asked. "Hazel." "No, your full name." Hazel Grace Lancaster. He was just about to say something else when Isaac walked up. "Hold on," Augustus said, raising a finger and turned to Isaac. "That was actually worse than you made it out to be. I told you it was bleak. Why do you bother with it?" "I don't know, if it helps." Augustus leaned in so he thought I couldn't hear. "She's a regular?" I couldn't hear Isaac's comment, but Augustus responded, "I'll say." He clasped Isaac by both shoulders and then took a half step away from him. "Tell Hazel about clinic." Isaac leaned a hand against the snack table and focused his huge eyes on me. "Okay, so I went into clinic this morning, and I was telling my surgeon that I'd rather be deaf than blind, and he said, 'It doesn't work that way.' And I was like, 'Yeah, I realize it doesn't work that way. I'm just saying I'd rather be deaf than blind if I had the choice, which I realize I don't have.' And he said, 'Well, the good news is that you won't be deaf.' And I was like, 'Thank you for explaining that my eye cancer isn't going to make me deaf. I feel so fortunate that an intellectual giant like yourself would design to operate on me. Design. I feel so fortunate that an intellectual giant like yourself would deign to operate on me.' 'He sounds like a winner,' I said. 'I'm going to try and get some eye cancer just so I can make this guy's acquaintance.' 'Good luck with that, alright. I should go. Monica's waiting for me. I gotta look at her a lot while I can.' 'Counterinsurgents tomorrow?' Augustus asked. 'Definitely.' Isaac turned and ran up the stairs, taking them two at a time. Augustus Waters turned to me. 'Literally,' he said. 'Literally?' I asked. 'We are literally in the heart of Jesus,' he said. 'I thought we were in a church basement, but we are literally in the heart of Jesus.' 'Someone should tell Jesus,' I said. 'I mean, it's got to be dangerous storing children with cancer in your heart.' 'I would tell him myself,' Augustus said, 'but unfortunately I am literally stuck inside of his heart, so he won't be able to hear me.' I laughed. He shook his head just looking at me. 'What?' I asked. 'Nothing,' he said. 'Why are you looking at me like that?' Augustus half smiled. 'Because you're beautiful.' I enjoyed looking at beautiful people, and I decided a while ago not to deny myself the simpler pleasures of existence. A brief, awkward silence ensued. Augustus plowed through. I mean, particularly given that, as you deliciously pointed out, all of this will end in oblivion and everything. I kind of scoffed or sighed or exhaled in a way that was vaguely coffee, and then said, I'm not you. You're like a millennial Natalie Portman. You're like a millennial Natalie Portman. Like for Vendetta? V for Vendetta, I thought it was New Roman. V for Vendetta, Natalie Portman. Never seen it, I said. Really? He asked. Pixie-haired, gorgeous girl dislikes authority and can't help but fall for a boy she knows is trouble. Is your autobiography so far, as I can tell? His every syllable flirted. Honestly, he kind of turned me on. I didn't even know that guys could turn me on, not like in real life. A younger girl walked past us. How's it going, Alyssa? He asked. Or is that Eliza? How's it going? Whatever. How's it going? I'll say Eliza.
Okay.
I'll make that decision.
I've always liked the name Liza. Always.
How's it going, Eliza? Alyssa, whatever. He asked. She smiled and mumbled, Hi, Augustus. Memorial people, he explained. Memorial was a big research hospital. Where'd you go? Children's, I said, my voice smaller than I expected it to be. He nodded. The conversation seemed over. Well, I said, nodding vaguely toward the steps that led us out of the literal heart of Jesus. I tilted my cart onto its wheels and started walking. He limped beside me. So see you next time, maybe? I asked. You should see it, he said. V for Vendetta, I mean. Okay, I said. I'll look it up. No, with me, at my house, he said. Now. I stopped walking. I hardly know you, Augustus Waters. You could be an ex-murderer. He nodded. True enough, Hazel Grace. He walked past me, his shoulders filling out his green knit polo shirt, his back straight, his steps slightly just turning, his steps lilting just slightly to the right. Page 18. As he walked steady and confident on what I had determined was a prosthetic leg. Osteosarcoma sometimes takes a limb to check you out. Then, if it likes you, it takes the rest. I followed him upstairs, losing ground as I made my way up slowly, stairs not being a field of expertise for my lungs. And then we were out of Jesus' heart and in the parking lot. It's hard for me to look this far. The spring air just on the cold side of perfect. The late afternoon light heavenly in its hurtfulness. Mom wasn't there yet, which was unusual, because Mom was almost always waiting for me. I glanced around and saw that a tall, curdy brunette had Isaac pinned against the stone wall of the church, kissing him rather aggressively. They were close enough to me that I could hear the weird noises of their mouths together, and I could hear him saying, always, and her saying, always, in return. Suddenly standing next to me, Augustus half whispered, They're big believers in PDA. What's with the always? The slurping sounds intensified. What's with the always? The slurping sounds intensified. Always is their thing. They'll always love each other and whatever. I would have conservatively estimate they have tested each other the word always 4 million times in the last year. A couple
What do you want?
gave up, taking Michael
I want you to help look at my yearbook with me.
Alyssa.
Because I can take away my book
Away.
anytime.
Fine, take your damn book. I'll just listen to him read it then.
Watching Isaac and Monica, who proceeded apace
She threw
as
my
if they were
book.
not
Because she's like,
leaning
fine, I'll just
against
listen to
a
it.
place of
Threw
worship.
my
His
book
hand
at
reached for
me.
her boob over her shirt.
She threw
What
it
the
at
heck?
me.
At a
Whoa.
church?
What's going on?
That's
I'll
creepy.
just listen to him read it. And throw it at me.
We're on page 19.
Because I
You
said,
guys
well,
aren't watching it,
I was like, well,
but,
if you're not
Hi,
gonna
Brazil.
read it,
I
you're
love
just
it
gonna take camera
little
down
nutball,
with the
you
book.
might.
And she threw it at me.
Who is?
Whoa.
She threw it at me.
Say you're sorry. We don't do that. I paid a lot of money for
She
this.
yelled at me. She was like, I'll take the damn book away from you.
I didn't say that. I said, I'm going to take the book
You can
with
go to
you. You're
bed
not going
now.
to read with me.
Read your book. Tomorrow, I'd like to see
Are you guys following along with that?
What do you guys think of the book? Someone just asked which. We're on the first chapter on page 19.
Yeah. At the top.
Yes.
Alright. I'm just gonna finish chapter 1 today. But I'll try and do 2. Against a place of worship. His hand reached for her boob over her shirt and pawed at it. His palm still while his fingers moved around. I wondered if that felt good. Didn't seem like it would, but I decided to forgive Isaac on the grounds that he was going blind. The senses must feast while there is yet hunger and whatever. Imagine taking that last drive to the hospital, I said quietly. The last time you'll ever drive a car. Without looking over at me, Augustus said, "You're killing my vibe here." Please don't kill my vibe. Okay, you're killing my vibe here, Hazel Grace. I'm trying to observe young love in its many splendor. What?
Yeah, many splendored awkwardness.
Yeah, in its many splendid awkwardness. I think he's hurting her boob, I said. Yes, it's difficult to ascertain. Yes, it's difficult to ascertain whether he is trying to arouse her or perform a breast exam.
Whoa.
Then Augustus Waters reached... I have to say Augustus Waters. I like to say Augustus. Then Augustus Waters reached into a pocket and pulled out, of all things, a pack of cigarettes. He flipped it open and put a cigarette in between his lips. "Are you serious?" I asked. "You think that's cool?" "Oh my God, you just ruined the whole thing." "Which whole thing?" he asked, turning to me. The cigarette dangled unlit from his unsmiling corner of his mouth. The whole thing where a boy who is not unattractive or unintelligent or seemingly in any way unacceptable stares at me and points out incorrect uses of literality. Yeah. Uses of literality and compares me to actresses and asks me to watch a movie at his house. But of course there is always a Hamartia? Harsha? Oh, Harsha. There's always a Harsha, and yours is that. Oh my gosh. Even though you had freaking cancer, you give money to a company in exchange for the chance to acquire yet more cancer. Oh my God. Let me just assure you that not being able to breathe. Sucks. Totally disappointing. Totally. A hamartia? He asked, the cigarette still in his mouth. The cigarette still in his mouth. It tightened his jaw. He had a hell of a jawline, unfortunately. A fatal flaw, I explained, turning away from him. I stepped toward the curb, leaving Augustus Waters behind me, and then I heard a car start down the street. It was Mom. She'd been waiting for me too, like, make friends or whatever. I felt this weird mix of disappointment and anger welling up inside of me. I don't even know what the feeling was, really. Just that there was a lot of it, and I wanted to go smack Augustus Waters and also replace my lungs with lungs that didn't suck at being lungs. I was standing with my Chuck Taylors on the very edge of the curb, the oxygen tank ball and chaining in the cart by my side, and right as my mom pulled up, I felt a hand grab mine. I yanked my hand free, but turned back to him. "They don't kill you unless you light them," he said, as Mom arrived at the curb, and I've never lit one. It's a metaphor, you see. You put the killing thing right between your teeth, but you don't give it the power to do its killing. It's a metaphor, I said. Is that dubious? Dubious. I said dubious. Mom was just idling. It's a metaphor, he said. You choose your behaviors based on their metaphorical resonances. You choose your behaviors based on their metaphorical resonances, I said. Oh yes, he smiled. The big, goofy, real smile. I'm a big believer in metaphor, Hazel Grace. I turned to the car, tapped the window. It rolled down. I'm going to a movie with Augustus Waters, I said. Please record the next several episodes of America's Next Top Model Marathon for me.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Dang.
That was good.
She said, I'm going to go on a date. What do you think of it so far?
I like it. I like the book. Well written. Very well written.
Very well. Jesus. I haven't used some of those words in years.
Ever.
Yeah, probably ever. There's like a couple words in there I've never even seen.
Never seen those either.
So what do you guys think? It took me an hour to read one chapter, to read 21 pages.
It's out loud. You read much faster by
Yeah, that's
yourself.
true.
And we're stopping, just saying, what's up? I think one chapter's cool.
Do you guys have any like suggestions? Or tweet me suggestions, the hashtag Cam's Book Club. I don't even know what the hashtag is. What is it? Hashtag Cam's Book Club. But yeah, tweet me suggestions or something that you like, something that you didn't like, something that I can change. But yeah, if you don't have this book, I don't want to make you buy it or anything. But if you do have it, you can read along. And I'm going to start doing like maybe a chapter or 2 chapters every single time. Maybe 3 if I get really good. Or like if I get really fast. But I don't know. I don't think I'd want to go that fast.
No,
That'd be like super quick.
it's more fun to take it slow.
And maybe like after I can take my time like talking about it. But what did I say? I love it. We're in a book club. Oh yeah, so
Tweet some comments, what you think.
yeah, tell me what you think, and then yeah, I'll be tweeting some of you guys back on what I think about the book, and then you guys' feedback on what I can make better on the book club. But tweet me what you think about the first chapter, and I will see you guys next Tuesday on here. But yeah, I'm doing my Call Me Cam tomorrow, so I'm gonna be calling people for an hour. The book is amazing so far. Chapter 1 is really good.
Loved it.
Yeah. Alright. Well, I will talk to you guys later. I love you, Maddie. I love you, Audrey. Bye, Yaya. And, peace. Thanks for coming, guys. Love you.
Thank you.
I love you, Lauren. Too many people commenting. Alright. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Tweet me. Hashtag Cam's Book Club.